And so the price jumped from 70 Rand a share up to 90.95. Of course, it didn't go all the way to 105 because it wasn't a done deal yet. And then I'll get excited. But just giving me a more sense announcements of more developments, this company buying a stake, relisting here, I think shareholders are now over it.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another Stock Spotlight where we cover the most important stock market news that happened during the week with additional insights. For those of you who's watching every week, thank you so much. A large percentage of you are not subscribed but are watching. So if you don't want to miss any videos, consider liking and subscribing. It really goes a long way. Jumping into our first company for today is Multichoice. So there's a company called Group Canal Plus. They expressed their intention to acquire remaining ordinary shares in Multichoice. Canal Plus currently owns 35% of the company. The anticipated cash consideration was for 105 rands per share of Multichoice shares. The share price was up 25% on that day of the announcement. But then the next day, Multichoice concluded that the proposed offer price of 105 rand per share undervalues Multichoice, and they believe that their future prospects and the value is greater than 105 rand. The board has conveyed to Canal Plus that at the proposed price, the letter does not provide a basis for further engagement. So a lot of news and a lot of things happening with Multichoice in 1 week, but nothing really changing. So there was an announcement for Canal Plus to acquire Multichoice, and basically Multichoice said no, even though that it was at quite a premium to the share price, and we saw the share price jump, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Paul, what do you make of this?
Yo, what a weird case, you go. So the price was roughly about 70 Rand a share. And then they said, remember, they already own 35% of the company. They're going to buy the rest of the company for 105 Rand a share. So, of course, you know, as a shareholder, whatever you bought it at, you're going to sell it to this company for 105 Rand a share. So that's why immediately the stock, the share price increased, because you're going to sell it for 105. It's now 70. So it's a massive premium. It's almost a 50% odd premium. And so the price jumped from 70 Rand a share up to 90.95. Of course, it didn't go all the way to 105 because it wasn't a done deal yet. If it was basically a done deal, it's 105, then the price would have rocketed exactly to 105 because the shareholders knew, okay, that's what we're going to get for the share. And so Multichoice said, no, we actually don't accept the deal, which is so weird because your share price is worth 70. Now someone offers you 105 and you say, no, we think that's undervaluation of our company. Now, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why Multichoice backs themselves that much, because as we've said in the past, Multichoice is not in a good spot at the moment. Basically what they have going for them is Showmax and DStv, the sport. Now Showmax faces so much competition. I mean, all the pirate sites, Netflix, Amazon, Apple TV, and then DStv doesn't offer anything special anymore except for the sport. So now a lot of people cancel the subscription because, should I pay 1,000 Rand to get sport, or should I just go to the local bar or whatever? So if I were Multichoice, I would rethink this deal. So now there's two scenarios here happening. Scenario number one is the French guys, the Canal Plus, says, okay, you know what? We actually will offer you 110 Rand a share or 115 Rand a share, in which case the share price will then go up to that price. Or number two is they say, okay, you don't accept the deal. Okay, the deal is off the table, in which case Multichoice's share will go from 90.95, where it is now, back to where it was, because essentially then nothing changed. I mean, there was a deal, there's no longer a deal. We just do business as usual. So at the moment, it's kind of a coin flip, and it's a bet for me, and I'm not into betting. I'm into informed betting, which we call investing, but not into literally betting. So this one, I'm staying away, but it's a nice story to follow. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, for me, Multichoice, their management believes that they are undervalued and there's more value than 105 Rand a share. So if they are going to decline this deal, then they need to unlock that value for shareholders. So it's going to be interesting to watch. I don't know who of you watched Bafana versus Nigeria, but in the penalty shootout, it actually froze for a second. But anyway, that's besides the point. But well done to Bafana for making this and playing so well. The next company is in the telco space, and that is Vodacom. They've been in the news for other stuff as well, including the Please Call Me, but this is for the results. So the group revenue increased by 26.8% to 38.9 billion. So this is on mass scale group revenue increasing 26.8%. That's proper. But Paul will tell us a bit more about that in a second. The customers across the group, which includes Safaricom, reached 200 million for the first time. So 200 million customers. Egypt grew their service revenue by 29.1% in local currency, and their financial services in Egypt, their customers grew by 55.5% to 7.5 million. Their international service revenue increased by 10.7%, and their group financial services revenue increased by 31%. But everything pointing back to the group revenue increasing by 26.8% at that scale. Paul, what can you tell us about that?
Yes, on eye level, on first view, it looks amazing. 26.8% is incredible, and especially for a big company like Vodacom. And then also they reached 200 million customers. Now you go 200 million, that's a lot of people, but it's not like for like. So they acquired Vodafone Egypt. So the Egyptian market is quite massive, and that's why it's not like this is what the company was and now it's like this. That's like for like. So comparing exactly what it was a year ago to now, because they acquired a new company. So of course it has to add to the total, and now it looks better than what it actually is. So Vodacom is one of the telecommunications companies in South Africa. Of course, MTN is the more popular one in terms of among investors. Every month on Easy Equities, MTN is one of the top 5 stocks. I don't know what it is about MTN, but people seem to just love MTN and the brand and so on. And personally, I am on Vodacom, but hey, whatever. And then what I don't like about, once again, cell phone networks is just the cost, man. Like, why is South Africa, I think it's one of the most expensive countries, or the most expensive country in terms of data cost in the world, which is just crazy. So from an investor point of view, do you think data costs will go up? In other words, revenue will increase for Vodacom and MTN and so on? Or do you think it will go down? Now, I think it will go down over time because it is already so high. So that doesn't make me too excited. On the other hand, you have the super app narrative. We're gonna include banking and gamification and data and basically everything and combine into one app, and that's a whole another narrative. But in terms of the results, nothing special, Ego. And I see the share price is actually down 24% over the last year. And over the last month, it's down significantly as well. So the market didn't really like these results, and it doesn't make me excited either. So we'll see. It's not a space where I am too invested in terms of my energy. I mean, telecommunications is not my game to play. I have another game to play, and you also have your game that you play. Did someone say Santova? But this is not my game, so happy on the sidelines.
Yes, Paul, one of your games is Bitcoin, and you recently also did a deep dive on Bitcoin. We posted a new video this week. Can Bitcoin gain mass adoption? And it's looking at the fundamentals, so not predictions and anything like that. It is really just learning about Bitcoin and comparing it to some of the traditional systems that we know. So that video is also in the description, and you can also click there. So the next company is not digital gold, but physical gold. Pan-African Resources is also rather a smaller gold miner in South Africa. For those of you who don't know, on Easy Equities, we have FinMeUp baskets, both on the South African side and the US side. There's various theme baskets. So in the US, we have AI, data, all of that. Locally, we have a small cap basket, etc. So we are currently in the process of updating them, bringing it back to our more recent picks and recent themes. And Pan-African will actually be in one of those baskets. That is one of Paul's choosings. He's been following this company and liking this company for a while, and they posted a great trading statement. So let's look at the statement. Their earnings per share and headline earnings per share is expected to grow by between 41 and 51%. And their gold sold, the volumes increased by 8.9%. And the average dollar per US ounce also increased by 13.7%. They also issued that their production increased. So there's a lot of positive signs. Paul, what do you make of these or this trading statement?
All right, Diego. Yeah, so I'm very happy with these results. As you know, it's one of my babies for the year. So firstly, as I explained last time, mine has a very high fixed cost element. So in other words, regardless of how many units you produce, this is the cost. And they produce more than what they thought they would. So that's a massive step in the right direction, a big tick for revenue and profits. And the second is the price at which you sell your product. And in their case, they sell gold. So what did the price of gold do the last year? It went up. It went up a lot. So now they're producing more, so that's profit, and they're selling what they produce at a higher price. Massive win for them. And then lastly, remember, in South Africa, we look at the dollar price of gold, but in South Africa is the rand price of gold. And how we get the rand price of gold is you take the dollar price of gold, in this case it's about $2,000 per ounce, and you multiply it by the exchange rate. Now, as you know, the exchange rate also increased a lot over the last year. It was like, let's say 16, 17, now it's 18, 19, almost 20 at a stage. So in other words, the rand price of gold is also up a lot. So they are winning on all fronts. I like what I'm seeing, and I will continue to invest. I think even at these levels, it's a great buy.
Interesting. The next company, Sappi, their sales fell by 23%, EBITDA fell by 46%, profit grew by more than 100%, net debt improved by just 2%, and their earnings per share declined by 167.6%. This is not looking good. Paul, can you give us some more insights?
Yes, Igor, this is actually one of my smaller picks for the year, not one of my official picks in, like top 7. It's not my highest conviction pick, but I actually am invested into this company. I'll tell you why. It's a small cap company in paper. Now, firstly, let's just discuss the results. So obviously the results look terrible, right? So the last year, so they are in Europe. That's a big part of the market, and Europe isn't doing too well. There's many suppliers, unfortunately, in the market, which means that there's more competition, which means that prices are lower. And then also electricity cost went up quite significantly in Europe over the last year, and that's part of the input cost. So in other words, the profits are less because there's more supply in the market, and the cost is higher because of the electricity. So in other words, this is not what you want. You want higher sales prices and lower cost, but now it's the opposite. But they did now close a few mills in Europe, and the rest of the business is actually doing quite well. They have very little debt, so that's always, in a small cap, that's what you want to see, because debt can kill you. Like in a recession, debt will kill you. The fact that they don't have debt means that they can actually sit on the sidelines and just wait this bearish period out. And I think this is a turnaround narrative. We love turnaround narratives. Of course, we all do. Remember the Avengers from last year, Avenge, that was a turnaround narrative. And there's a few others. And for me, this year is Impala. That's the one turnaround narrative that I'm betting on. And this is the other, Sappi. It's difficult to time the exact bottom. Of course, you will never get it exactly at the bottom. But I think Sappi is in a better position that they've been in the past. And the price is the lowest that it's been in a very long while. So in terms of getting the timing right, I think now is a good time. Maybe not for the next quarter, but for the second half of the year, I see an improvement. And therefore, I am investing.
Look, the thing about turnaround narratives is, one, a falling knife can hurt you. Yes. And second of all, cheap can always be cheaper, and it can always go to rock bottom. And more likely is with these turnaround narratives is that they don't turn around, because it's not that easy. But when they do manage to turn around, you'll definitely see gains. I don't know if Sappi or Avenge, we've definitely seen not a turnaround story. But I mean, there's so many narratives now. You look at China, you look at Alibaba, you look at there's a lot of narratives going on at the moment worth turnaround. But it's you should just be very careful and really know why you're investing into a company if you are going for a falling knife. The last company is also almost part of that narrative, and that's just a company where people have lost their patience, and that is Renergen. We've covered this company so many times. We've interviewed the CEO many times. So this week they announced that Mahlako Gas Energy is set to invest in the company's primary asset, which is the Virginia Gas Project. The investment involves acquiring a 5.5% equity stake for 550 million rand. All the conditions precedent for the transaction has been satisfied, which is basically a tick box for the due diligence, and the cash settlement as per the agreement will be made into the company accounts, so into Renergen. The market was not necessarily excited about this. The share price was actually down 2% the past 5 days, down more than 20% over the past 6 months. And I think it's just clear that the market has lost its patience. Obviously, they are known for their PR and communications with the public. And with every announcement there is a sense announcement. And basically through all the announcements, a lot of hype was built up, but now it's to a point where, look, this is actually good news. This announcement, it shows a tick of confidence, but the market is just saying, look, we don't really care about, you finding new helium, or we don't care about getting funding. Just show us the money, show us revenue, show us profits, show us cash flow. And I think that is still some time away. It's not going to necessarily happen in phase 1. It's more aimed for, theoretically, for phase 2. And phase 2 is still some time away. So I wouldn't be surprised if Renergen's share price, unless a US listing or something happens, I don't expect it to necessarily go up, maybe even just stagnate for a little while. Very interesting scenario, following this the past few years. Paul, what do you make of this? Any changes? I know your current thoughts, but maybe you can just share some light.
I think you hit the nail on the head. This is exactly right. Of course, many people have sold because that's why the share price is down 50-60%. But there's probably still many bag holders that's now not looking to sell because it's already down so much. So I can just as well keep it and then wait for it to turn around. Hopefully, otherwise I'm just stuck with it. So yes, I like we've discussed so many times on this channel, we covered the stock because it was probably the most popular stock for the retail investors. Not probably, it was, because we saw the stats on easy equities. That and Purple Group for the last couple of years. So we always cover it. We want to give you insights. I was never invested. You were invested, but you sold a long time ago. But we'll continue to cover it because maybe there is a narrative and it's a nice story. There's helium on the ground. The South African thing now they're listed in the US. So there is a scenario where they turn it around. Personally, I'm not very excited. It's like you said, exactly with your words. Show me the money, and then I'll get excited. But just giving me a more sense announcements of more developments, this company buying a stake, relisting here, I think shareholders are now over it. Show me the money, and then I'll be happy again. But it's like no good news in a bear market can make you bullish again. It's like when you argue with your wife or something, and they say, "I'm so sorry, sweetie. Can I give you a massage? Anything?" And they're like, just give me 20 minutes. I'll be back right now. I just need some space." It's like that. So I don't think Renergen can say anything now that's going to make shareholders excited in the short term. But they can turn it around. But I'm not betting on it. I'm not betting on it.
Well, a foot massage can go far when they are angry. Anyway, so there's just 2 final announcements. Firstly, is if you don't know, we've got the FinMeUp app where you can play your daily quiz, build streaks, climb the leaderboard. But the real incentive is every time you play the quiz, you get an entry into weekly and monthly investing vouchers. It's a total of 15,000 Rand per month into various weekly and monthly winners. So you just need to play, and then that's an entry. So go check that out on the FinMeUp app. And also, you can book a call with the Wealth Wingman Paul over here. You can chat about finances, chat about investments, chat about bonds, Bitcoin, shares. He loves finances and he loves assisting people. So, over to you. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. See you next week. And also look at the deep dives in the channel. Cheers.